Good evening and welcome to Sunset News on this Thursday evening. As always, we bring you news, community stories, economics, weather, sports, and so much more. I am Glenora Shipura. Getting into the news tonight, the High Court has ruled in favor of Joel Velipuvier Jacob, a 19-year-old man who was abruptly removed from the Namibian Defence Force training program earlier this month. Acting Judge Gershon Narib ordered that Jacob be reinstated and report to the NDF training facility on or before the 26th of May. Jacob, who had successfully passed the recruitment process, was removed from the final list of selected candidates without explanation just days before training commenced. His legal team, led by lawyer Nambili Mahata, filed an urgent application arguing that the decision was unlawful and violated Jacob's constitutional rights. The court agreed, issuing an interdict against the Defense Force and compelling it to allow Jacob to join the training program, even if it had already started. Narib further ordered that the chief of the NDF and NDF recruitment officer for Oshikoto region, Stanley Nawaseb, make reasonable accommodations for Jacob to join and catch up on any training or activities missed due to his removal. All respondents were ordered to bear the cost of the application jointly and severally, meaning if one pays, the others will be absolved. Jacob took the extraordinary step of filing an urgent court application after being excluded from the NDF recruitment process without warning. In his founding affidavit, he stated that he had completed all recruitment requirements, including physical fitness assessments, medical examinations, fingerprint verification, and had even secured admission to the Namibia University of Science and Technology before deciding to pursue a military career. I participated in the entry test at Ekolo Secondary School, which included both physical fitness tests and pre-entry written tests. I successfully completed all components of this test, court document read. Now, Jacob further stated that he was personally assured by Stanley Nawaseb that he had satisfactorily passed all evaluations and should await confirmation of the training commencement date. Despite this assurance, his name was inexplicably left off the final shortlist published earlier this month. The Namibian Oncology Center in Eros, Windhoek today hosted a stem cell donor registration drive in partnership with the Cancer Association of Namibia and the International Matches on the Map campaign. Robin Lewis, a cancer survivor and leader of the campaign, is on site explaining the quick and painless registration process. The drive aims to boost Namibia's critically low stem cell donor numbers and raise awareness about the importance of genetic matches for patients with blood cancers. Healthy individuals aged 16 to 45 are encouraged to participate. Registration takes only 15 to 20 minutes and could help save a life. A resident of the Havana informal settlement in Katutura has voiced frustration with the city of Windhoek after the municipality allegedly demolished a toilet she had constructed using her own resources as an alternative to communal ones that are in a state of decay. The city demolished her toilet due to a lack of council approval and building permits. She said she built the toilet out of desperation, citing the dire state of the communal facilities in her area. Many residents are forced to resort to unhygienic alternatives, such as defecating in plastic bags, using bucket toilets, or relieving themselves in nearby bushes. Last year, the city of Windhoek came and demolished my toilet brick by brick without warning. Nobody ever explained the rules or regulations about building in this area, she told NMH on condition of anonymity. Another resident noted that only 2 communal toilets remained functional in this settlement. There's no way all of us can rely on 2 toilets. Many of us use plastic bags and dump them in riverbeds. The stench is unbearable. We are treated like animals. Politicians show up during election campaigns with promises to improve our lives, but vanished afterwards, he said. The community, which had around 50,000 residents according to the 2011 Namibia Statistics Agency census, shared fewer than 10 functional toilets at the time. Originally, approximately 30 toilets were constructed to replace bucket toilets and pit latrines. However, due to vandalism and lack of maintenance, most are now unusable. Residents say they often queue for long periods to access the remaining toilets or resort to open defecation. City of Windhoek spokesperson Harold Akwenye confirmed to NMH that the demolished structures were deemed illegal, having been built without council approval or permits. He said many were located in areas earmarked for future infrastructure or pose safety hazards due to unregulated settlement patterns. He acknowledged residents' frustrations and admitted that many communal toilets are in poor condition. However, he cautioned that self-built facilities often do not meet environmental or engineering standards. Getting to our next story, the coronation of the new Musubia chief is set to proceed tomorrow in Bukalo, Zambezi region after the Windhoek High Court dismissed an urgent court application that sought to halt the ceremony. The Musubia people have been without a leader since the passing of Chief Munitenge Kisco Lizwani III in 2021. On Thursday afternoon, the High Court Judge Essie Schiming Chase struck the matter off the roll, effectively allowing the inauguration to go ahead as planned. Princess Binona Mamili, daughter of the late Chief Kisco Lizwani III, approached the court earlier this month seeking to stop the inauguration of Gilbert Muhongo Mutwa, who was endorsed by the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development as the rightful successor. In her court filing, Mamili said that the decision to recognize Mutwa was unlawful and it violated established Musubia customs. She insisted that she held the traditional right to designate a successor and that the process followed by the traditional authority, in her view, was procedurally flawed. Mamili, listed as the applicant, had cited the Minister of Urban and Rural Development, James Sankwasa, the Musubia Traditional Authority, and Mutwa as respondents. The Musubia succession has been a subject of ongoing dispute since the death of Chief Kisco Lizwani III in 2021, while the government formally recognized Mutwa in April this year. His designation has been met with resistance from Mamili and others who believe the selection process was improperly conducted. As final preparations for the inauguration continue in Bukalo, the ruling has seemingly brought clarity, at least legally, on who will lead the Musubia community. That brings us to the end of our top stories. On the other side of the break, we take a look at our community talk.
I can give you anything you want to get that cake. To get that cake. You would say anything to get that cake. I got that. I got that. I got that. You would say anything to get that cake. Like what? To get that cake. To get that cake. To get that cake. You would say anything to get that cake. Like what?
Getting into our community talk, Field Officer Martin Alfred from LCN's Diaconia Mission and Social Services shared with the Network Media Hub this morning in Rundu Rural, Kavango East, how their drought relief efforts funded by $100,000 donation from the Decathlon Lutheran Church include buying seeds, plowing fields, training farmers and women, and working with traditional authorities and the Agriculture Ministry to support vulnerable communities.
So the project is initiated to support community at large with the drought situation. The aim of the workshop that we are having today, we want to improve on disaster risk management, which means that we don't want to wait until the disaster strike is when we'll end up running up and down and looking for assistance. It's good that our community need to be trained, especially we are having now the community that we are targeting. Number one, we are targeting traditional leaders. These are headmen from different places, especially if you happen to see the rain that have rained. Nobody could expect that we end up having heavy rain that will affect our community, especially when it comes to flood. So yes, you can see why are we targeting traditional leaders? Because our community, they listen more when traditional leaders, they talk or they speak. And number two, we are also engaging the church leadership, different church leadership from different churches, also to be part of this training. Why? Because in church, when the preacher or the pastor or the reverend engaging the congregation, they also obey. So in number three, we are also engaging as part of the stakeholder for our community. We're engaging the government because it's the one responsible for this. Article number 10 of 2012, the one that governs.
Getting into the economic news, in a relief for Namibian consumers, NamPower's announcement of a moderate 3.8% electricity tariff increase bolstered by continued government subsidies is set to keep inflationary pressures in check. FNB Namibia said in its inflation outlook for April. The Electricity Control Board of Namibia had earlier this month granted the power utility a 3.8% tariff hike against a proposed 17.44% tariff hike. NamPower's announcement of a more moderate 3.8% increase supported by a second government subsidy suggests reduced inflationary pressure from utilities and weaker second-round effects across other categories. FNB Namibia said, on the housing front, with inflation projected to ease, FNB said it will provide some relief to households grappling with finances. With inflation projected to ease to 3% year-on-year in May and an annual average of 3.9% for 2025, the lower-than-expected hike signals reduced strain from utilities, offering a buffer to households already grappling with tight finances, FNB explained. Although housing and rent prices are expected to remain elevated, the utilities outlook has improved. We had anticipated an electricity tariff increase of over 8%, assuming limited fiscal capacity to subsidize national tariffs for a second consecutive year, it added. Inflation on an annual average basis was forecasted to close at 3.9% for 2025, according to FNB's projections. Looking ahead, we expect inflation to ease to 3% year-on-year in May, with the annual average moderating to 3.9% for 2025, slightly below our initial forecast of 4.2%. Our updated forecast reflects lower than expected pressure from housing and utilities, while other assumptions remain broadly unchanged. FNB Namibia said, now the ease in inflation would help lessen the strain on already struggling households, as indicated by weak private sector credit extended to households. Getting into our next story, the Tumas uranium project in Namibia is advancing towards a 30-year future with Deep Yellow Limited refining its plan through a 2025 feasibility study and a robust financing, though a final go-ahead hinges on stronger uranium prices to fuel these ambitious greenfield venture. Deep Yellow, the project's developer, recently announced a definitive feasibility study for 2025 with a frozen scope, capital expenditure, and a schedule now established. However, the final investment decision has been deferred until uranium prices reach a level sufficient to justify the greenfield project's development, a move reflecting strategic prudence in a volatile market. An updated mineral resource estimate also indicated a longer life of a mine, further raising the profile of the proposed mining development. A newly updated ore reserve estimate has extended the project's life of mine to 30 years, up from the previous 22.5 years. Bolstered by an upgrade MRE. Now, this extension underscores Tuma's potential to deliver long-term economic benefits to Namibia. The project's final backing is also progressing, with a mandated bank advancing project financing arrangements, positioning Tumas for a strong capital foundation. Deep Yellow said that development is proceeding in a staged approach to minimize risk and optimize efficiency, Deep Yellow said. Detailed engineering continues in 2025, with efforts focused on refining CapEx, operational expenditure, and the project schedule. Early works on non-process infrastructure are slated for the second half of 2025, alongside the finalization of critical water and power supply agreements. A 6-year minimum planning has been completed, with grade control finalized in the second quarter of 2025, further de-risking the project, it said. Deep Yellow said the project was advantageously situated close to critical logistics infrastructure. Next up, we take a look at our financial indicators. The Namibian dollar trades against the British pound at 24.12, against the euro at 20.29, against the US dollar at 17.97. 2 Namibian dollars and 49 cents gets you 1 Chinese yuan. On the commodities market, gold and Brent crude oil went down, while platinum and copper went up. Brent crude oil trading at 0.45%, going for $64.55 per barrel. Getting into our international news, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said his visit to the White House yesterday was a great success, even though a confrontation during the meeting with President Donald Trump over allegations of genocide garnered the most attention. We've been able to achieve what we set up to achieve a re-engagement with the U.S., to put the issues of investment and trade on the table, and to ensure that we continue engaging through the various other formations, Ramaphosa told reporters following his White House visit. Trump used the White House meeting to confront Ramaphosa with baseless claims of the systemic killing of white farmers in the country. Trump said during the meeting that people are fleeing South Africa for their own safety. At one point, Trump dimmed the lights in the Oval Office to play a video of a far-left politician playing an anti-apartheid song that included lyrics about killing farmers. Ramaphosa pushed back against Trump's accusation and downplayed his criticism, adding he believes there's a doubt and disbelief in Trump's head about his genocide charge. Following the contentious exchange in front of the cameras, Trump hosted Ramaphosa for lunch and further talks. Ramaphosa said that discussions over lunch revolved around trade, investment, and golf, and said that both countries will continue engaging. Our objective in coming here was to resolve relations between the two countries and to reposition our relations, which had become contaminated by some of the issues that had been raised during the engagement, Ramaphosa said. Observers say the South African delegation was not adequately prepared for Trump's unorthodox and combative style of diplomacy. International relations expert Dr. Weston Shilau Kwatemba described the encounter as a misstep for Ramaphosa. Getting into our next story, the Democratic Republic of Congo's appeal court on Wednesday called for Justice Minister Constant Mutumba's to be lifted. It is seeking to prosecute him for alleged misappropriation of public funds and wants the National Assembly to allow it to open a judicial investigation into Mutamba. He is accused of embezzling $19 million of the $39 million earmarked for the construction of a new prison in the city of Kisangani. The private agreement for the build was purportedly awarded without the usual procedure for public contracts. After being appointed last year, Mutumba said he would overhaul what he described as a sick system, promising transparency in his fight against crime and corruption. After hearing prosecutor Firmin Muyonde, the president of the National Assembly said it will not stand in the way of the judiciary doing its job. The Assembly immediately set up a special committee to hear both Muvonde and Mutumba's sides of the story. The African Association for the Defense of Human Rights is, however, urging caution. It says Mutumba should be prosecuted if he embezzled or attempted to embezzle funds. But it warned that he should be supported if the allegations were made against him by politicians or judicial operators. Tensions between Mutumba and the Public Prosecutor's Office have reportedly been simmering for months. That concludes our international news. We'll now take a look at the weather predictions for tomorrow. Aransley can expect a minimum of 8 and a maximum of 20 degrees Celsius with sunny weather conditions, while Rehoboth can expect a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 21 degrees Celsius, also with sunny weather conditions. The capital city can expect a minimum of 6 and a maximum of 21 degrees Celsius with sunny weather conditions, while Katima Mlilo can expect a minimum of 12 and a maximum of 29 degrees Celsius, also with sunny weather conditions. We now head over to the sports desk, proudly brought to you by Sports Wrap.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and starting off with soccer news first, and a big result for Tottenham Hotspur in European football. Tottenham Hotspur winning the Europa League. They beat Manchester United in the final by 1-0. Massive result for Tottenham Hotspur. Both the teams were desperate to win that, and that was to qualify for European football next year. Both of them very low on the English Premier League at the moment, 16th and 17th respectively out of the 20 teams. So not a good season to qualify for Europe, but the winner of this title qualified for the Champions League. And that is Tottenham Hotspur that will play Champions League in the next season. No Champions League, no European football then for Manchester United, with a difficult season that continue for them. What happened in the game was, it was in the 42nd minute, the only goal that was scored, Tottenham Hotspur winning 1-0. It was Brennan Johnson that scored the winner in the 42nd minute. That was for Tottenham Hotspur to win the title. Both teams in action for the last game of the English Premier League this coming Sunday. It is Tottenham Hotspur that will play against Brighton, and it's Manchester United that's got a home game against Aston Villa. Moving on to tennis news, it is the Hamburg Open that continues, and the number 1 and 2 seed in the tournament out of the tournament. Big surprises there, and it's still early in the tournament, the round of 16. It was Alexander Zverev, number 1 seed, knocked out in the tournament by Alexander Müller. He is from France in 3 tough sets, 6-3, 4-6 and 7-6, but number 1 seed out of the tournament. And then also number 2 seed also lost, that is Francis Tiafoe of the United States. He lost to Roberto Batista Agut, and he beat them 6-2, 6-3. That is Tiafoe out of the tournament. Better result for number 3 seed, that is Andrei Rublev. He beat Justin Engel from Germany. He beat him by 6-3 and 7-5. To close off today's international sports news, it is cycling news. Giro d'Italia that continues. It was stage 11. Tough stage, 186 kilometers into the mountains. They were climbing 3,812 meters, almost 3 kilometers, almost 4 kilometers that they climbed. And the winner there, Richard Carapaz from Ecuador, he won in a time of 4 hours, 35 minutes and 20 seconds. And he was 10 seconds ahead of second place. So that is the overall leader, Isaac Del Toro. So Isaac Del Toro of Mexico, being second in stage 11, retains his overall lead in the general classifications. His combined time for all the stages, 38 hours, 47 minutes and 1 second. And it is Isaac Del Toro that is still leading Joan Ayuso of Spain, leading by 31 seconds into second position. So the 12th stage is not going to be in the mountains. It's a flat stage that's going to be over 172 kilometers. So that's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day. We talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
That was Ari Hochard with the sports news. And on that note, we have come to the end of the broadcast. Don't forget that Sunset News screens on DSTV channel 285 and GoTV channel 25 every Monday to Thursday from 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. From me, Glenora Shipura. I'll see you next week.